one time I will follow you sometime. This time you follow me. Okay. Make contact, yeah? Okay, scoop up. I refuse to move until the music is gone. Or not only until the music goes on.
Claire, you just go play on his phone.
Now compression into the feet. It's very much fun. It's nice to rock back and forth, adding compression. But not so fast, just like linger just a little bit on those feet, yeah? And then add thumb compression with the same motion. And hit as many source points as you remember. Okay, and a little toe pulling just to loosen the feet up a little bit. And then we're going to work on the person's right leg. So we're going to take our right leg and go underneath their right leg. And keep it in nice alignment, and we're going to go right into traction. That's awesome. Okay. You got to roll what's on the turntable. They used to say you got to flow with it. So it's okay. Shiatsu no different.
What's going on with your phone, Randy?
That's
It's got
okay.
a mind of
It's
its
okay.
own.
I love it. So we get to do shiatsu. It's okay. I do listen to a lot of reggae, so probably not.
You been to Jamaica?
Many times. Been taught there for 10 years in a row. So here, Negril mostly. It's okay in here, Raj. Is your body in a different weather? A cold weather? Use your body weight, not your arm strength. So the straighter you can keep your arms, shift your weight back, the more you'll be using your body weight. Please.
Fingers from slipping.
I'm sorry?
How do you keep your fingers from slipping?
Just intertwine them and put a little squeeze on their leg maybe. And just go back as much as you can with your body weight. Squeezing. So putting a squeezing on the gastrocs once you're done with the digital compression. Right. So up now, please. So bring your knee on the inside of her leg. And we're just going to take simple lunge forward, stabilizing the extended leg so the pelvis is a little bit more stabilized. And let it just casually drift out laterally. And then hook your leg over their extended leg so you can do palmar compression. on the exhale. And then hook your foot off of their leg and drop the foot down out of your lap and just go right into hip circumduction. One way and then the other. I'm putting the foot across and doing a nice stretch to the hip. Just moving right in the sideline. Okay. So sideline, we're just going to come up and do compressions into the top of the head.
Do you want this out?
Sure. No, it's better for you to have something underneath there.
Wrong point.
Disrupting the video. The IT guy is disrupting the video. Compression. Now we're going to sit down with our knees even with the top of the shoulders and place our arm underneath their top arm. And we're going to place our thumb right up underneath the occipital ridge and then just depress the shoulder a little bit so you get stretch and some nice digital compression. And some petrissage down the side of the neck, right to the top of the shoulder where you can apply finger over finger pressure just to do some nice loosening of the soft tissue in the top of the shoulder. Our fingers come together, intertwine, and then we can lean back for a nice stretch. A couple times. Changing the angle of the stretch. And the hands come apart, supporting the shoulder girdle from front and back and doing some nice range of motion. One way and the other. Okay, so now we're going to come up and do for the pec major and pec minor. So we're sitting like this and just slide your knee down and put your foot up and just open so you're right in position. So now the knee is right up against their back and below their scapula and arms open. So now look nice. So we're going to loosen finger pads over finger pads, addressing upper fibers of pec major, just get a little loosening going on. And then in addressing the pec major, we're going to do a pincer grip. So we're gripping the muscle from both top and bottom. So we're going to come in and grab and then just lean back with, very good, Elizabeth. Leaning back with your arms straight and not your shoulders up, but just your weight shifting back. And then coming underneath pec major with digital compression to address pec minor. So if you feel for the ribs and just slide on the ribs until you bump in, excuse me, the lateral border of pec minor. and usually a lot of tightness because of shoulder forwardness, so maybe sometimes just digital compression is enough. But if you want to apply digital compression, you can also do a little pin and stretch by just shifting your weight forward, taking that arm with you because of the muscle's attachment at the coracoid process. And we're just going to take that arm overhead and just nice stretch. And bring the arm back and rest it down. And then we're going to add compression to the side of the torso. So we started all about the gallbladder, so this continues with the gallbladder down the side of the body. So just palmar compression into the side of the body. Easy pressure as you get closer to the floating ribs. And then you want to address the soft tissue just below the 12th rib and just above the iliac crest. So a lot of times I'll do what's called dragon's mouth, where you have this hand position and it goes right into the situation between the iliac crest and the ribs. You can also place thumb over thumb and just sink down to get the lateral border of the muscle between the 12th rib and the iliac crest. Okay, so now we're going to slide down and place one knee right up against the sacrum, and then the leg goes across so that the leg is locked in. So we're going to address the hip. So make sure that their leg is high enough so it's coming out of the hip at a right angle. So you have a nice right angle coming out of the hip. And then you feel for the greater trochanter of the femur and the lateral border of the sacrum, and you're going to be compressing all in this crescent moon shape. Okay. I'm using the heel of my hand, sinking in with the body weight. And then you can go back and do thumb over thumb pressure, sinking in on exhale. And then continue with palmar compression down the iliotibial band, the lateral side of the leg for gallbladder meridian. So first, some just general palmar compression. And then you could follow up with some thumb over thumb to be a little bit more specific to the meridian as it comes out just below that greater trochanter of the femur right down to the lateral aspect of the knee. And then the meridian continues through the peroneal, so applying a little pressure with your foot. And if you want to emphasize a little pressure, you can put your elbow on the top of the knee and just sort of press down a little bit with your body weight. And take that compression on, include the foot. Okay, and then we're going to come to the extended leg, and we're going to compress from the foot up. So we're going to give ourselves a little break and stand up, and we're going to use our feet. So we start at the foot, nice compression. Some real foot-on-foot action. Compressing with the ball of the feet on the lower leg. For the yin meridians of the leg, spleen, liver, and kidney. Compressing on exhale. And no compression on the side of the knee, but just a little motion here. We always emphasize that the chi or the energy has a tendency to get stuck in the joints, so And then you can continue your pressure up. And then we're going to come down and have a nice compression of the ductus. When you do come off, put one hand down and lift your weight up and onto the hand so you can come off the leg easy. And we're going to go right into psoas stretch. So we want to bring that top leg back before we sit down so we don't have to overextend in our lower back. And then we're going to have a seat above their hips, facing their feet. So above their hips, facing their feet, and the side of the lower leg goes right into the lower back, above the hip. And we're going to bring that leg back. And try to get it in front of us so we can do a nice psoas stretch. So take a nice deep breath, please. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. Feel it? Is that enough? I just thought about the company for some reason. I don't even know why. So addressing the yang meridians of the leg, stomach, gallbladder, and bladder with this tapping to try to dissipate any stagnant energy here so that we can maybe get a little bit more. So inhale, please, and exhale. So deep stretch, stretching psoas, also stretching stomach meridian as it comes through the torso and just under the ASIS, just lateral of the knee. So nice stretch for stomach meridian. And in releasing, where you release slow and come up on one knee and one foot and use the leg to turn them back into supine. And we'll just transition to the other leg. So now we're working their left leg. So putting our left leg underneath their left leg. And we're going to repeat what we just did. So here we go. That's nice. I like the sounds and everything. So be in line with the leg. So you're not doing everything out of rotation. So keep it in front of you. Twisting. Just adding a little gallbladder. Is that okay on your drawings? Okay. Hamstring stretch. Elizabeth? Digital compression in between the gastrons. Squeezing of the gastrons. Can you bend that way?
Oh.
Your mind was engaged, your leg was locked. So hook your foot over that extended leg if it's comfortable for you. Stabilizes that side of the pelvis over there. Nice hip circumduction. One way and the other. Don't see what we did. So you can be comfortable because we're going to turn it in the side line. Okay. Oh, okay. Elizabeth, okay? Stop bladder, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Compressing on the exhale. So after digital compression up underneath the occipital ridge, some petrissage down the neck. And then right into some circular finger pressure into the top of the shoulder. And then with our fingers intertwined at the top of the shoulder, do a nice stretch. And then the hands separate, range of motion. So now we're going to do pec major, pec minor. So in this position, just take this inside knee and slide it down and turn, and then you'd be right in position like this. Yeah, very good. On this side, the arm. Okay, so loosening. And then we're going to address the peck major, so from both sides, pincer grip, and leaning back. And then peck minor underneath. Nice stretch of the arm overhead. Compression into the side of the torso. Easier pressure by the floating ribs, and then some digital thumb compression into the musculature in between the 12th rib and the iliac crest for the lower back. Okay, now we're going to slide our knee down to the sacrum and other leg comes over so that you can add palmar compression right into the side of the hip. And you can go over that same area with some thumb pressure. And palmar compression down the side of the leg, addressing the gallbladder meridian. Digital compression, be a little bit more specific to the meridian. And following that meridian through the peroneals, through the lower lateral compartment of the leg. Right? And then we're going to stand up and use compression from the foot up the leg for the extended leg, for the spleen, liver, and kidney in the inside of the leg. Using the ball of the foot, compress up. And if you use your other foot coming up this way, you won't go. You need to go from the foot up. When you come off hand so you can lift your weight up and roll off. And we're going to reach over and bring that top leg back so we can end the sideline work with a psoas stretch. So sitting above their waist, facing their feet, and the side of your leg goes up into the small of their back. And bring back until you feel resistance. And then try working with their breath a little bit. And on the exhale, just lean back a little bit more to get a little bit more of the stretch. A few times. And then when you feel like you have another nice end point, you hold for a few breaths. And then slowly come out. And move them into supine once again. Okay. Okay. So we're going to scoop up. And we're going to come up on one knee and one foot. And we'll take an inhale, and on the exhale, push up into standing position, and bring the legs right into a hamstring bladder stretch. Okay. Now we're going to bring their knees, bend their legs, take a step back into a lunge position, place the palms of our hands below their knees, and lean in with our body weight through our extended arms so that they stretch out their lower back. So one foot and back like this more, Alma, so that your weight can come through your, there you go. And release, and then that back foot comes up, and we're more in a straddle position around the hips, and we add some nice circular motion, loosening up the iliums and the sacrum articulation, the SI joint. Bladder meridian runs strong through there. And then come to neutral, and lock in their legs with your legs on the side, and try to get the femurs about straight up and down, because that'll allow the weight to go through their femurs into their iliums more. So placing the palms of the hands here, belly soft, just leaning in, so they get some nice openness in this SI joint. We'll repeat a couple times on the exhale. And release. We're going to move the knees forward, support the feet with your heels, straighten the legs out, rock a little bit, and then come up to the right side, please. Okay, and we're just going to place our hands softly on their hara, and just take some breaths together. So as they inhale, your hand rises and then falls and rises and then falls. And this next time, as it rises, move your hand to a slightly different position and just let it sink in. So no mind, just let the breath move your hand around the heart. And then straight up the middle, starting just below the navel, and with every exhale sinking in as much as they allow you to. And then working right up the sternum. Right up to the manubrium. And then right into compression of the arm. Compressing from the chest out to the hand. Letting your arms be straight so that your body weight is coming through. Couple times. Use your knee if you like, in the forearm, not the bicep. Work the wrist crease. Welcome. Work right into the hand. Welcome again. Knee into palm. Stretch the arm down. Slightly rotate palm up. Put the hand down, palm down. And we're going to do a little compression from the palm up to the shoulder. Pressure's okay. Okay. Come to the head. And we're just going to do compression now of both shoulders. So into the apex. And that way we can transition right into the other arm. A little stretch. A little stretch. Stick my big toe right in here. It's right there. I'm not gonna do it though, because we're video. I'm thinking about it though. It'll be funny. Okay. Come on, some compression, yeah. Another time. Using my knee again, because I like to. Work the source points of the yin. Into the palm. Stretch. Rotate. Palm down, pressing back of the hand and the arm. And getting this where the meridian is, you can use a lever move if you like. Come to the head. Okay. And there you go. Hang on.
We're paramedics.
We're gonna need paramedics.
Yes.
We're gonna need a paramedic. Okay? Okay, alternating compression into the top of the shoulders. Slight bend in the knee. Smile on the face.
Too serious.
That's too important to be taken seriously. Sustain pressure on one shoulder at the acromion shelf so that you get a nice movement of the shoulder girdle. Release. Other side. Release. Keep your feet on their shoulders and move a little bit closer to the top of their head. And bring your arms between your legs, cupping the back of their head. So your feet are just lightly keeping their shoulders pinned to the mat. And then you're going to lift their head and bring their chin as close to their sternum as possible to get a nice stretch out of posterior cervical. Monkey feet, in case you were wondering. Now I'm going to lower the head to the mat and take one foot off of one shoulder and then laterally flex the head to the other shoulder. So pure lateral flexion, not rotation, so the nose is pointing up towards the ceiling. And release. Switch feet. Inhale. Exhale. we're going to move just a little closer and place the hands over the other hand at the base of the neck and just lean back to end with a little cervical traction. Okay. And we'll just take a minute to settle and ask our friend to turn over into prone position, please. Please don't trip. You want to, pardon me? Sure. All right, everybody, good? No, just cleaning up the area. Okay, all okay? You be okay? Okay, so we'll come now, start with some compressions here. Come to the side. See, so you didn't have to move. And we're going to feel for the spine here, make sure we know where it is, and we're going to reach across. And the top hand is the mother hand, stay stationary. Bottom hand here, so inhale please. Exhale. I'm going to move your arm back this way because the front of the shoulder articulates with the mat better. So then for compressions, yeah, it's a little bit more better, it's a better contact on the mat. Leaning in on the exhale, rocking up so that your weight is coming through your arms. Even pressure both hands. Take that compression down and include the sacrum. And repeat the whole sequence. And after 2 compressions, we'll just go in and do a little cross fiber right there in the lamina groove. I'm going to step across, do a little mobilization. Adding a little digital finger pressure along the vertebral border of the scapula for the outer bladder meridian, but also attachments of rhomboids. Switching hands and adding a compressive twist. And then coming to the side once you've done that. The side you've been working on, we're going to use our elbow to go right in the lamina groove. Let's start up here. Work that all the way down to the iliac crest, please. Not onto the sacrum. And then you're going to work the lateral border of longissimus with supported thumb pressure towards the midline. So you're working that lateral border where the muscle turns down and interfaces with the rib cage. It's where the outer bladder line is. So you're coming in at it at about a 45-degree angle, I would imagine. Okay. Once you've worked that lateral line, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to start with compressions. Even pressure both hands, compressing on the exhale. Do that compression twice, including the sacrum. The pressure is down into the back and away from the spine, creating some nice space. So make sure you take that compression down and include the flat surface of the sacrum. And then we're going to do some cross fiber for the last time. Step over and start the mobilization. Switching hands for that twisting compression. And then coming over to that side when you're ready, and we'll do the elbow into the lamina groove. Working the lateral border. Longissimus for the outer bladder meridian. exhale. So thumbs are pretty flat if you're using braced thumb, so it takes the stress off the joint. Okay. Come into a straddle position. And we're going to do shiatsu, starting C7T1. So feel for the spinous process and just come out about a thumb width into the lamina groove and sink in. So your hands are nice and open and relaxed, and you're sinking in with the tips of your thumbs. And just leaning your body weight in on the exhale, so not forcing any pressure. You do 1 point, inhale and slide the thumbs down, a thumb width, exhale, lean in. So this inner bladder meridian affects all of the organs in the body via these nerve pathways to the central nervous system. So you're helping regulate function, helping support homeostasis. If you come across any tight areas, apply a couple of rounds of thumb pressure just to help assist in relieving any stagnation in the area. You want to come down and include this thumb pressure right on the sacrum and try to get into the foveas or the foramen where the nerves come in and affect the lower body, because this is where the bladder meridian also resides, and the acupressure points are right in the holes in the foramen. And then once you've done that, you want to do a little compression into the sacrum and towards their feet so that you can open up the lower back. And then we're just going to come to one side, facing their hips, so we're at a 90 degrees to the body. And we're just going to start adding a little motion here to loosen up the hip. Okay, and grab a hold of the foot and open the leg up a little bit. And then use the flat of your fist through your extended arm to apply compression as you're bringing the leg across the midline. So let your body weight come in through the arms. And then the same motion, but this time coming at a 45-degree angle into the hip. Use your inside knee. So the knee falls right in between the sacrum and the greater trochanter of the femur. And one of those times as you sink in, pull the leg back so you do a nice little pin and stretch. So you sink in and pin and stretch. And then we want to come up, and we're going to use our foot to compress into the hamstring, starting just distal or below the ischial tuberosity. Okay, so this is for bladder meridian, so I'm just come down. So the arch of the foot molds over the contour of the back of the leg. Rocking back, inhaling, coming over and down, exhale. So rocking back, taking breath in, yin, leaning forward, exerting energy out, yang. We're going to come down. contraction. Okay. And we're going to, so when we started this last series, we started compression in the gluteals, the hamstring. So we're going to go up and be more specific to the bladder meridian as it passes through the hip and the hamstring and the gastroc. So we're going to come up, and the lower portion of bladder meridian as it passes through the glutes is pretty much in line with the ischial tuberosity. So if you feel for that ischial tuberosity and then come up and come just below the ilium, you can apply some nice digital compression through that line for bladder meridian. And then find yourself just immediately below the ischial tuberosity, and you can pick up the bladder meridian as it courses through hamstring. And some nice circular friction right in the center of the popliteal crease where the bladder meridian comes together. And then digital compression right through the gastroc heads. And as the meridian is coming down following the belly of the muscle, the meridian veers laterally and goes in front of the Achilles tendon and behind the lateral malleolus in that groove. So when you start applying digital compression there for that lower aspect of bladder, I would suggest turning, again, 90 degrees to the person so that you can have the work in front of you and apply a little clearer contact in that groove, and then right into the side of the foot where the bladder meridian goes, and then try to address the base of the fifth metatarsal, and then continue digital compression right into the side of the foot and out the pinky toe, and then addressing the plantar surface of the foot. So now supported here, nice contact, my outside forearm. Just sinking in and rolling out. Okay. Now, you take the foot with us to the standing position, step across, but we're going to the opposite side. And stepping even with the hips, and the foot closest to their head lightly goes on their lower back above the iliac crest, and the arch of the foot is over the lumbar. And we're going to bend down by bending at our knees and having two-hand contact of the foot. Inhale, and on the exhale just stand up straight for a nice stretch of psoas. Also stomach meridian, very good stretch. Light pressure with that foot on the back. So wonderful. So now, as we lower the leg, look how it comes in contact. Their knee goes down, our knee goes down. Their foot goes down, we raise up the other foot, and now we're working the other leg. And I'm going to pull the leg out a little bit and go right into flat fist compression. First flat fist compression, and then the knee in the gluteals, and then the foot in the hamstring. Little pin and stretch with the knee pinning the glutes and the piriformis and bringing the leg out. And then coming up and applying pressure for the bladder meridian as it comes through the hamstring. coming down, traction, and then coming up and working bladder meridian in line with ischial tuberosity as it passes through the gluteals, and then right down the center of the leg through the hamstrings for bladder. Little circular friction in the back of the knee when you get there. And then supported digital thumb compression through the gastroc heads for bladder meridian. And remember, the meridian veers in front of the Achilles tendon and behind the lateral malleolus, so you turn your body to get a little bit better angle at compressing into the side of the foot and the base of the fifth metatarsal for the source point, and into the side of the foot and out the pinky toe. That's the continuation of the bladder meridian, and then working the bottom of the foot. Okay, and we're going to come up for psoas stretch. Come around, be even with the hip. The foot that's closest to their head, lift up and place down lightly over the small of their back with the arch of your foot over the lumbar. Bend down at your knee, two-hand contact of the foot. Inhale and exhale, just stand up. Very light pressure with that foot on the lower back. Nice psoas stretch. Keep your shoulders down. Nice. Slowly lower the leg down. Come to the feet. And turn the toes towards the midline, almost touching, please. And face away, and we're going to take our heels and walk on the bottom of their feet. Alternate your pressure, sink in just a little bit from side to side, and make sure you're not in the same space all the time. Okay, turn back quiet.